Here's a question a woman might ask you this week. So, what do you do with your time these days? It sounds like small talk, but it's quietly a test, and most men your age fail it without ever knowing a test was happening at all. Stick with me for the next few minutes, and I'll hand you something almost no man your age has, which is the ability to hear what a woman is actually saying when she's interested in you, underneath the actual words coming out of her mouth. Because here's the quiet tragedy I've watched play out over and over. A woman likes an older man. She's curious. She's warm. She's leaning in. But she's not going to walk up and announce it, because that's never been how it works. So, she does what women have always done and starts asking questions. Little safe ones, each of them a small door cracked open while she waits to see if he'll notice. And he doesn't notice. He answers like he's filling out a form. Music drifts away and he tells himself it was about his age, when really it was just that he couldn't read the room. You're about to be able to read the room. Music. Let's go back to that first one because it fools nearly everyone. What do you do with your time? You, being a decent, straightforward man, answer it straight, with the garden and the grandkids, and a bit of golf on Thursdays. You think she wants your schedule, when she couldn't care less about your schedule. What she's really doing, music, is leaning over the edge and peering into your life to see whether it's a life she'd want to climb into. She's listening for one thing only, which is whether this man is still alive in there or just quietly running out the clock. When a woman asks how you spend your days, what she's really reaching for is whether those days are worth sharing with someone. So, the answer that works was never the list. It's the heat behind it. I've been restoring this old wreck of a boat, honestly, it's driving me up the wall, but God, I love it. That one sentence does more than a perfect resume ever could. Because it sounds like a man who still wants things, where the calendar version just sounds like a man reading his symptoms out to a doctor. Same facts entirely, and yet a completely different signal lands in her chest. Now, the second one. And this is the one that makes good men flinch. How is a man like you still single? Most guys hear that as a poke, a little dig. So, they either get defensive or, worse, they crack open the whole sad archive of the divorce and what she did and how it all fell apart. That's the wrong read, badly wrong, because she isn't opening an investigation into your failures. Read the phrasing again. A man like you. She's already decided you're worth a closer look. The compliment is sitting right there and the question is just the wrapping paper around it. What she's actually doing, music, is watching how you carry the weight of your past. And there are two kinds of men who show up here. One says, with a little shrug and half a smile, haven't met anyone worth rearranging my life for yet. The other spends music 4 minutes relitigating a marriage that ended back in 2009, and where the first man comes across as free, the second comes across as a little haunted. Music. And she can hear which one she's dealing with in about a sentence and a half. And look, the fact that you're even here learning to catch this stuff already separates you from the pack, and I mean that. Most men your age will go their whole lives without ever once decoding a single one of these signals, filing it all away under bad luck and bad timing, while you sit here doing the exact opposite. That matters more than it sounds like it should, because honestly, it's the whole game. The third question is gentler, and it slides right past men because it's dressed up as kindness. Doesn't it get lonely? Or, do you ever wish you had someone to share this with? You hear a nice woman being thoughtful, when what's really happening is she's holding a door open and watching your face to see if you even notice it's open. This one's tricky because both of the easy answers blow it. Slam it shut with, nope, I'm perfectly fine on my own. And you've just told her there's no room for her anywhere in your life. But crack yourself wide open and pour out all the loneliness, and now she's staring at a hole she'd be expected to fill, which is exhausting before anything's even begun. The man who gets it right lands somewhere in the middle of those with something like, sometimes, yeah, the right person would be welcome. But I'm not about to settle just to fill a seat. There's room in an answer like that, and the room comes with a standard attached, and both of those things pull her closer at the exact same moment. Now, the questions get sneakier because the next ones don't even look like they're about you. The fourth kind shows up as pure throwaway chatter. How do you take your coffee? What music do you actually listen to? Beach person or mountains person? It sounds like nothing, right? And that's exactly why it works and exactly why men miss it every single time. A woman who's interested starts quietly gathering these tiny scraps, and not because she lies awake wondering about your espresso, but because she's building something, A picture, a whole life with you in it. The ordinary mornings and the road trips and the lazy Sundays, and she's furnishing that imagined house with your little answers. So, the throwaway grunt of black 2 sugars before you turn back to your drink is you declining an invitation you didn't even see arrive. The man who tosses back a bit of color instead, a small story, then lobs the question back to her, keeps the whole thread alive in her hands. Music. And the funny part is that the actual content of your answer barely matters because what she's really clocking is whether you understood she was knitting something and reached over to pick up a needle. When she starts asking about your small, boring, everyday preferences, what looks like idle trivia about your habits is really her quietly trying you on for size, the way you'd hold a coat up to the mirror before deciding whether to buy it. The 5th one is the boldest thing she'll probably ever say to you, and it hides in plain sight. Oh, we should do that sometime. You'll have to show me how that works. It's barely a question at all, more like a passing comment you could let float right by. And men do exactly that, constantly, letting it die on the table like a coffee ring nobody bothers to wipe up. Picture it. She says, "I've always wanted to check out that little jazz place downtown." A certain kind of man smiles warmly and goes, "Oh, you should." It's wonderful. With no idea he just fumbled the easiest pass of the entire night. She was never after a recommendation. She was waiting for you to say, "Let's go Thursday." She floated it gently, right over the plate, and watched it sail clean past. She'll try maybe once more, then quietly file you under not interested, and you'll walk away, never even knowing the door had been standing wide open the whole time. There's a 6th one, and it's the most innocent looking of the bunch. She starts asking about the people in your life. Are you close with your kids? You still see your old friends much? It feels like she's just getting to know you, while underneath she's running one of the oldest checks there is. Because how a man talks about the people in his life tells you everything about his heart in about 30 seconds flat. Warmth about your grown daughter, real affection when an old friend comes up, and she's looking at a man whose love still works. A grudge against every ex, every former partner somehow cast as the villain, every friendship apparently ended by someone else's fault, and she's heard the whole sad story before you've even finished telling it. All of that family talk is really her quietly working out whether your circle is one she'd ever want to join or one that keeps mysteriously emptying out around you. Here's the thread running through all of it, and once you see it, you genuinely can't unsee it. Every one of these questions is a woman managing her own risk. She's interested, but she is not going to stand there fully exposed and declare it. Not early on, and maybe not ever, so she tests in little increments instead, a question here, and a small opening there, each one feeding her information while shielding her from a flat, humiliating no. Chasing her was never your job. Your job is simply to notice and to quietly walk through the door she keeps leaving ajar for you. And there's a rhythm to all this that older men especially need to catch. She'll often circle back, dropping a topic, music, and then finding her way back to it 20 minutes later, wandering off and then returning. That returning has nothing to do with boredom looking for somewhere to land, because what it really amounts to is her choosing you again and again and again. Men miss it because they treat every exchange as its own separate little event, when you really need to zoom out and look at the whole evening as one single shape. A woman who keeps drifting back to your corner of the room 3 times over wasn't short on other options. She was making a decision. Now here's why all of this tilts in your favor at your age, which is the part nobody ever tells you. These moments need one thing above everything else, and it happens to be the one thing you've actually got now that you didn't have at 25, which is the calm not to pounce. A younger man feels the interest, lunges straight at it, and crushes the thing in his fist. You can take the same question, hold her eye for a second, and answer like a man who's been here before and isn't the least bit shaken. And that unbothered steadiness is exactly what keeps the questions coming. A woman will keep testing the man who answers her with ease, and she quietly gives up on the one who either misses every signal she sends or grabs at them far too hard. So, what do you actually do with all of this? Whatever you do, please don't turn into a detective dissecting every sentence she says for hidden code. Music, because that just makes you tense and strange, and she'll feel it radiating off you from across the table. Just loosen one single assumption, the one where you decide in advance that the questions mean nothing. When she asks about life, your past, the loneliness, the small stuff, or float something the two of you could do together. Let yourself entertain the thought, just for a beat, that she might be reaching towards you. Then, answer like a man with a full life and an open door. Music without a trace of desperation and without slamming anything shut. Just present, and easy, and there. Come back to yourself for a second. Think over the last year or two and you can probably feel one already, can't you? Music. A moment that slipped quietly by. Something you'd read completely differently now. Don't beat yourself up over it because nobody ever handed you the manual for any of this. What's behind you was never really the point. The point is that you'll catch the next one, and there will be a next one. More of them than you'd ever believe. While most men your age keep mistaking every single one for nothing, right up to the very end. A woman rarely comes out and tells an older man she wants him. She asks him questions instead, leaves the door open, and waits to see whether he's still the kind of man who notices.